Hello, everyone. We are joined by Pal here once again. For those who might have tuned in last year, he was coaching BBL then, but now he's here with Vitality after their pretty amazing win in their first game of kickoff today. So, first of all, Pal, I wanted to ask you how you feeling.
Great, obviously. It's nice to see the guys putting into practice all the stuff that they've worked very, very hard on. We've pushed them quite a lot over the last couple of months. So no, it's nice to see them not only match what we know they're capable of in practice, but actually go above that today. That's why it ended up looking so comfortable.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty fun game throughout for everybody. My first question would be, this roster, there's been a lot of hype around it. Understandably, some really big names, and it's so far lived up to expectations. So I kind of wanted to get the story behind how the roster came together. Was there any player in particular that you were sure that you wanted on the team, or was it like, in your head from the beginning? Just curious.
When I got the chance to join Vitality, I knew I'd be working with Derke and obviously Sayonara, who's soon to come in afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very clear to me from the beginning, as soon as I knew I was going to be leaving BBL, that I wanted to be working with Yampi again.
Mm-hmm.
And almost certainly Profek. We looked for reasons to potentially take somebody else over Profek, not because he wasn't what we wanted, but simply because I know how biased I am towards him. And ultimately, again, no one could have been a better choice for us. So it was quite a simple process, certainly to fill out the first four. Then eventually, when we realized that Chronicle was going to be an option, he was going to be leaving Fnatic. It was a bit of a no-brainer if we had the opportunity to get him, which eventually we did. After that, yeah, pretty simple. Coming out of the off season and going into the beginning of 2026, Unfake seemed like a really easy option just to slip into things
Mm-hmm.
into our systems to allow us to keep working on everybody else and the way in which we had been playing throughout the off season. So yeah, it was a lot of obvious choices along the way, to be honest, which made my life a lot easier.
And also, I think somewhere I remember reading that you also got Scott on board, and I remember reading somewhere that you guys were gonna do everything to make like life easier for your players and give them like really good support and stuff. So, kind of wanted to know what that looks like behind the scenes. You don't have to go into all the details, of course. I know it's like confidential and
It
stuff, but what it?
it's a lot of fun. That's what it is behind the scenes. We have myself, we have Scott, we also have SOK, who
Mm-hmm.
was previously on Fnatic in 2023, and he was also on Vitality last year as well. Um, I am incredibly lucky to work with both of those two inside the game, because both of those two could head coach like right now. Any tier one team around the world, they both have a very clear way of seeing the game, of understanding how coaching should work, and a brilliant way of understanding what our players need. So they make my life a hell of a lot easier inside the game. Outside the game, we also have two fantastic performance coaches as well, Bayer and Bernie. They really assist me in terms of making sure that every time we turn up in the server, whether it's in scrims, but most importantly on a day like today, the boys are playing as close to their best as they humanly can do. So yeah, I'm a pretty lucky guy, as I said before, not only with the players that we have, but also with the extra support that the guys have behind the scenes as well. I just have to turn up and make sure that everyone gets their room to do what they're already experts in, basically.
That makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, I think in terms of experience, everybody on this roster is like a proven gun at this point. I was wondering how you got like, is there anything in particular that you guys do for team bonding? Is there anything fun that you guys break out in? You know?
Yeah, we do. We do a fair bit. Every day there's a chance to play some party games.
Oh,
It used to be that those party games changed every now and again, but now we're big Pummel Party fans.
oh, I love that
The
game.
boys are always looking for looking to play more and more Pummel Party. Unfortunately, I'm the one, the Grinch, that has to tell them to stop every now and again because we've got some other work to do. But also we do a lot of just stuff just in person as well. We've had the boys in the office pretty much every single practice day we've had since the middle of October, end of October. But yeah, we go for breakfast on a off day, go for dinner sometimes every now and again. It's important to me that a lot of the time when it comes to like team activity stuff, it's not something that feels forced or, hey, we are now going to do an org mandated laser tag day. It's just, hey, we all live here in the same city. We enjoy each other's company. So let's just go out and live our lives together. It doesn't need to be big things. Sometimes, yeah, it's just going for a meal together. Sometimes it's just going for a walk to get some coffee or whatever. Nice and simple stuff often makes the difference.
Out of curiosity, who wins most of the time in Pummel Party? Because I play this game, so I'm actually curious.
It's Chronicle or Sayonara by far are the best players. Derke often have some MVP performances in there. Recently, the Polish duo has been pretty dangerous as well, though, I've got to say. The people that are going to be at the bottom scoreboard, though, Yampi, me, Scott.
Oh, damn. All right. So talking about Yampi in particular, I think that last year when I got to interview you, one of the things you mentioned about BBL was that it was a team that you put together, and there were like misfits there and stuff. So I think it's a very big difference from how Vitality looks right now. How has it been for Yampi switching over from IGLing to this particular roster where there's so much experience already in the team?
Oh, it's a massive change for him. Not because he's not capable of leading these guys already or calling around these guys, but just because we are really pushing to have a much, much higher ceiling of performance. So it means that Scott, SOK, and I are really pushing him in terms of growing his capabilities. Not only in the game with the sort of strategies he's calling, the play style that we have, how he's able to actually control and make the most of essentially the tools that he has, the guys around him, but also just, especially with me working with him, Bernie as well, on what is his vision of leadership? What is his vision for the team? Because he's only been IGLing for basically what, 16 months now. So really starting to try and help him develop his own vision for what he wants himself to look like as a leader in and out of the game, but also his vision for how a team should operate, how we should practice, how we should play in the game, and his ability to actually get that across to everybody else that he's working alongside and for, ultimately the four other guys around him.
Mm-hmm. And talking about Unfake in particular, I think that he was also IGLing last year a little bit for Vitality, I think. So do you think having players like somebody there to help Yampi take up the slack, is that there, or is it just Yampi calling throughout pretty much?
It's just Yampi calling. Like we have a very like centralized calling system with Yampi a lot of the time. It changes a little bit on defense. We have people like Derke and Kron who, when they're playing certain agents, can really start to take a lot more control. Everyone can still feed in a lot of ideas, but there's no second calling. We're not really relying on Unfake to do that. He quite enjoys the fact that he can come into this team and just
Chill.
do his job, be solid, not really chill, just focus on everything else and delivering on everything else. And yeah, he's enjoying that. Yampi enjoys having the experience of everybody else around him as well, rather than just one player in particular.
Hmm. All right, and talking about this season's teams, there's been a lot of roster shuffles in EMEA, as you know. Who do you think are looking pretty dangerous, apart from you guys? Like, you guys are my top bet for a kickoff right now, but please make my
Thank you
pick as
very
well.
much. That might have cursed us.
No, no, I don't have the
I
cluster
think
curse. I'm good.
I think Heretics are always going to look dangerous, especially with the potential firepower upgrade of comeback. The boy just doesn't miss shots with an op or an outlaw. I mean, you've always got to look at Fnatic. You've always got to look. I mean, Liquid have made big changes. We're up against them next, so it's going to be really interesting to see what they're like as well. Gentlemates look pretty solid in their first run out. BBL always got a lot of firepower. I thought Pacific looked decent until that last map, better than perhaps most people expected of them. So yeah, I think your Heretics, your Gentlemates, and your Pacific are probably maybe the ones that people would underrate a bit.
That makes a lot of sense. Talking about your game against Liquid, what do you think is the one thing that you guys might need to improve from today? I don't know if there's anything that you need to looking at that game. You know better than me. So what do you think is the one thing you want to work on?
I think it's hard to tell. I can't really ask anything more than what the boys gave today. I think the biggest focus for us now is just going to be, right, we've settled into things. Let's start thinking a little bit more. Let's start thinking, taking ourselves out, thinking a bit more about our strategy, etc., and just trying to be as clean as possible with that. Because if we can add that layer on top of what the guys showed today with the firepower and the micro communication, then yeah, we'll be in a pretty good spot, hopefully.
Okay, and just to wind up, I think last year as well, Vitality looked really strong. I know you weren't there in the coaching staff at that time, but they started really well. You know, kickoff win, fourth at Bangkok, and then they just got kind of quiet throughout the year. So, do you think that's going to be a problem this year, or how do you think you're going to avoid it pretty easily? Because I think momentum is a big problem for a lot of teams.
Yeah, we're not having that problem this year because of the way that we built the team.
Awesome.
The relationships between the players that we have now. Very, very different to last year, that's for sure.
All right, and just to wind it up, just a couple of quick fire questions. Who's the most likely on the team to molt?
Oh, it's definitely still Derke. He loves a bit of it every now and again.
Okay, and who's the funniest person? Who's like not trolling in game, but yeah, funny.
Prophet for sure. He loves a good troll.
He loves a good troll. All right, and who's the person who's like trying to keep control of everything? You know, calm down, guys. Let's be chill.
Kron is the absolute steadiness of our team whenever we need it. Yeah.
All right, and outside of the game, who is like the most socio vivacious, whatever? Who keeps like the party going?
Yeah, Yampi, absolutely. Anyone that knows him knows that.
All right, and finally, in game, who's the most likely to overheat?
Derke as well. Derke loves a bit of it. He will win games just by walking forward, holding W, and shooting people in the face. He's very, very good at it.
Okay, and I know I said that was the last, but I lied. So this is the last one actually. You know, there's been a couple of patch changes and the whole initiator nerf and the utility nerf and everything. So, how do you think that's gonna affect the Valorant meta heading into Santiago?
I won't say too much until we've shown everything else that we have at the moment. But I think there's going to be a big change on how people manage their information throughout the middle of the round, basically.
And just to add on to that, I don't think a lot of teams have really picked up Veto. You think how does he look in the current meta as a Sentinel?
Yeah, not bad. Again, I can't say too much about that sort of stuff at the moment. But yeah, not too bad. I think still underused and underutilized for sure.
All right. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, pal. I'm gonna let you go and celebrate with the gang. But
Thank
congratulations
you
on
very
your
much.
win, and good luck for the rest of the event.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye bye.
Bye bye.